Canadian Talk.
All right, here we are back again for episode 11 of Canadian Talk. And we have Nigel in town again. We brought him in because the last episode was so captivating. And we had some things that we wanted to finish up talking about. Nigel is one of my friends from engineering that has some particularly good takes on things that I like to talk about: current events, global unrest, global warming, religion, all the stuff that I standardly talk about because nobody else talks about it because it makes them lose their job. So here we are again with Nigel Ferrigno. Nigel, the Englishman. So, Nigel.
Yeah.
How you doing today?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Not bad. I'm doing good.
Oh, really?
Weather's nice.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I can't wait to get the bike.
Yeah.
Can't wait to go to that lake.
Yeah. We're so lucky in Saskatchewan. Like, I think that nobody realizes how good it is here. Like, a lot of people want to go to BC. Like, you were already talking about Vancouver,
it was great there.
It's nice there. It's beautiful there, but there's people around. There's always people around. In Saskatchewan, you can drive 3 hours north, and there you can just park your truck in a bush. I don't know if you know about this, but like you can just go north, park near a lake. You can hop in the lake with some soap. You can sleep in a tent. Like,
oh man, I love hiking. I do like multi-day hikes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing one next month.
Like, there's people. Yeah, you do the hiking, hey?
Oh, yeah,
and you post about like the rock types and stuff, and yeah. No, I love. My favorite thing to do is just to drive north. Oh man, do I love it too? Because we're the worst province. Like, we have the least amount of people. You drive north, and the highway starts to go like this. Like, the good highway starts to go like this. Oh, are you going to Manitoba? Are you going to Manitoba? I'm gonna verge east. I'm gonna verge east. And you're like, no, I want to keep going up here. So the main highway, the main highway starts to take you up to. Is it Flin Flon? I think it's Flin Flon. And what you do is you take a left and you start going up north. And when you take that left, man,
you've been north Flin Flon?
You fall. You fall out of service, and it's beautiful.
It's a crazy place. It doesn't look like southern Sask at all. Like, it's raw.
So I love to go up there, and I take the truck out there, and I put a piece of plywood up on my rack, and I set the tent up on the truck, and I cast the fishing rod off the top of the truck and into the water. So it's like deck fishing right off the dock. I don't like boats. Like, there's more of a headache, in my opinion. I find
break off another 1,000. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Break up another 1,000. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like shore fishing. I have just as much success shore fishing as I do boat fishing. The funny thing is, I find whenever I boat fish, anybody who I've boat fished with, they always end up trolling towards the shores anyway, and it's like, oh, over here. Okay, well, we're at the shore. We could have done this from the shore, so why are we wasting our time? So I love Saskatchewan for that. I love just going up into the north end and.
I love it here. It's just unfortunate that we only get to live our lives 6 months out of the year, because winter is harsh, and I don't like skidooing. It's boring, to be honestly. But maybe I can get into it. It's just the winter makes everything a pain in the ass, and it's just difficult to live and exist.
Here's my first contradiction of the podcast. Oh. I agree with you. I agree with that 80% of people agree with what you just said.
Yeah, probably.
But 80% of people, more than 80% of people, are soft as fuck. Okay? So I actually feel that our winters aren't that harsh, and I like that it keeps people away. You can go up north any time of the year, but 6 months of the year, it's amazing.
Person that has to live here.
Yeah, but it's just like the tougher, or a breed of person who knows how to buy a few more sets of clothes and just put them on.
Well, when our fucking boys went overseas, I was there at fucking France, Normandy landing and shit. Like my unit, the Regina Rifles, they actually had to get called to come back. Like, hey, you pushed the line too far forward. We can't keep up to you. We have to bring you guys back. And it's because they're all fucking Farmer Johns. They're tough as fucking nails.
Yeah, they're like, keep going. Our job is to keep going. Let's keep going.
So we're fucking ramming through the day.
That's
hey,
awesome.
Come back. You're too far forward.
That's awesome to hear, man. I like to liken that to D-Day. I like to think that
that's what I mean.
If without Canadians being involved.
You're
talking about D-Day.
That was on D-Day.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something happened recently.
The Royal Regina.
That's what I was just about to say. That's so funny that I thought of that.
On that beach in France, I saw where they were.
That's cool. See, that's why I got confused, because you were talking about yourself. Yeah, in back then, I'll bet. I was just about to say that I'll bet that's why D-Day was so successful, was because Canadians were involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Omaha. That was the U.S. side. We
Anywhere
were at
though.
Juno Beach.
Yeah.
You know what's Canadian soil there, like legally?
No, I didn't know that.
Because they have like a Parks Canada thing there. Like it's literally Parks Canada because it's Canadian soil. So Parks Canada.
That's so
has to be
funny.
run by Canadians. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they have like a whole like.
Yeah.
museum
But
there.
anyway, just to continue with the Saskatchewan thing. I love it that and I don't know if this is technically illegal, but whatever. Like, I mean, if you're a resident, just go ahead and do it. Like, if you're not from here, probably fuck off.
Yeah.
But
that was me on the beach there, right near that. That's our
nice.
army unit.
you look like a tourist.
Oh yeah, but no, that's my tattoo. Is that insignia? Yeah, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
man.
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, good to know. So that's your tattoo. Dusty will want to hear about that when he listens, because he's a big tattoo guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's from a different podcast here in the city. Basically, the only other podcast that does what we do.
Interesting.
Can you believe that there's only one other one?
Yeah, Saskatoon Metro about 300.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's big into tattoos. Yeah, I bet that was why Normandy was so successful. Shit, I forgot what I was talking about.
Beach, France, D-Day, Normandy. Tough Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah,
people.
with Saskatchewan.
Winters.
Like, I think that the rule. What is the law on that? I think that, like, even just on a government infrastructure, like a highway or in a ditch, like if you just pull off to the side, I think that you're allowed to stay there for up to 7 days, and it's legal.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, or it might be 48 hours, but just like you can go anywhere up in northern Saskatchewan, and all the lakes, they're not claimed. Like, you can go up there and just park by a lake and just stay there for 2 days.
Lots of them are unnamed.
And that's what I mean. So people, they make reservations at at a campground. They go and stay in a campground. That's great. But if you're okay with pooping in the woods,
there's a lot of ways to rough it.
if you're okay with showering in the lake, you can camp for free here. Like, I don't know why people are going and paying $50 a night for an electrified site when you can pull
Those
off.
are the hikes that I do in BC, man.
See, so
Yeah,
so
like the West
so
Coast
you don't
Trail-
have a
West
car
Coast
with you.
Trail.
I like to have a car with me because I like to have my electricity, hook up my inverter and my solar panels. But you can stay anywhere for free. Like that Coleman. Oh, I got it folded up. But do you have a Coleman grill? You got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I completely forgot that today's Father's Day. I have to drive to Regina.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, no, but supper's not till 4, so I have an hour or two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, today's Father's Day. I thought that was the kind of the solidarity that
my
we were
dad,
sharing.
so.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a dad either, so
Shit,
that's
I
why this is like a great day for us to do
that's
a
crazy.
podcast.
Crazy.
So,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
solidarity, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, like you can basically camp for free in Saskatchewan, which I love a lot, and I don't really like having people around while I'm camping. Like if I'm
no, it ruins it for me.
yeah, if you need to fish, if there's one other guy beside you while you're fishing, I mean, I know he's not taking your fish, but it's fucking annoying.
Here's one thing I don't get. It's the whole like trailer thing, like camper trailer, all those things. Like I watched my mom go through. They spent $30,000 on a trailer.
30 grand, yeah.
And
That's there's some people that spend 80.
And it was nice and it was great, but it's just a pain in the ass because now you have to have a truck to be able to tow places, and then they paid $1,500 for their site at Echo Lake, which is like 45 minutes, and it's a shit lake, and you're surrounded by other people, and it's just packed.
Dude,
This
my
is terrible.
parents almost bought a seasonal site at Echo Lake.
Yeah, it's the fucking worst thing ever, and then it's like a pain in the ass to get there. It's not even that nice. Like,
Yeah.
and I was thinking too, like, I kind of told them too. Like, I think they kind of realized that. I was like, Mom, like,
Your lake is not as nice as the northern lakes.
Not even that, like,
not even
for
close.
$30,000, I could spend that money a lot better than buying a trailer. Like, the two of you
Yeah.
could spend $5,000 on a trip,
Yeah.
6 times.
Yeah, dude, can I tell you? Can I? That's good story. I hear you. I hear the numbers. Can I tell you a little bit about how I've helped my parents with numbers?
Oh yeah,
Because they actually trust me quite a bit, but it's been a lot of work. But so we had a cabin at a lake called Martin's Lake.
okay.
It's right by Echo Lake.
Cool.
It's about an hour out of the city, and we had a cabin there. They had worked their whole life to get this cabin, but they only spent $18,000.
That's
so,
cheap.
So they bought our cabin for $18,000, and I won't give you the. You know what? I got time. I'm going to give you the whole story. So we had bought a cabin for $18,000. It was a nice big lot, lakefront, and I helped them maintain it, helped them fix it up. We ended up building a new cabin on the same lot in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had told them because we were beside we had 2 lots. There was our lot and then an empty lot beside us.
Okay.
We didn't break down that. I'll tell you more about that. They had an option to buy the second lot beside us for only $10,000 more. They didn't. Some Gomer ended up buying it and built a skyscraper beside us. It blocked a little bit of our view, but not all of it. Our lot was still very good, lakefront. And so we had our old cabin and we have our new cabin that we built for, I think we spent about $50,000 to $80,000 building it. Beautiful big cabin. And so now we're in for about $100,000 on this lot.
That's a good price though.
So old cabin's still there. Municipality comes and tries to tell us to tear down the old cabin. And I've talked about this on previous podcasts.
Tell them to fuck off.
But this is actually, I was in my first year engineering at the time, and they came to the cabin and said, hey, you got to tear it down because of structural deficiencies. And I fought them in court and I won.
Oh yeah,
And,
I love that. I love sticking to the man. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Who are you? Fuck you.
So yeah, we detached the electricity, and we're like, no, this is our shed. Just leave us alone. We can have both, because it's a small cabin. We're just going to use it as a unattached storage room.
Yeah, it's like floaties.
We don't want it to go anywhere. Just let it sit there, and we'll if we want to take it down, we'll take it down in our own time. Quit giving us orders.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dispelled all that, and that was a big confidence builder for me when I was in engineering. But so yeah, there's that one. And what was I talking about though?
Saskatchewan Lakes.
Yeah, Saskatchewan Lakes. That was our cabin.
Cold winters.
And financial help that I had told them. Yeah. So so we have this cabin. We've only invested about $100,000 into it. They put it on the market because a couple of years ago they wanted to sell it, and they were trying to sell it for $290.
Oh shit! That's
And
a lot of money.
it's a lot, and the market for cabins up above 200,000
yeah.
is very tricky.
It has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And exactly what the person wants.
Yep. But what they ended up having was they weren't having any success. They tried selling it for like half a year, and they had this person that they came across on Facebook who was like, "Hey, I'll trade you this house. I'll trade you this house in downtown Saskatoon."
Oh shit!
On 4th Ave, but it's a house that sells for about It's a house that sells for about $230. So it's about 700 square feet, just a small 1920s house.
Okay.
On a relatively small lot. It's maybe 25 feet wide, 100 feet long.
Yeah. I know exactly where
The 4th Ave, if you know where Mayfair Sports is.
I used to live on it.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Yeah, so right there. And yeah, so they traded. So they weren't going to do it, but then I talked to them about it, and they traded the cabin for that house and some money. I think it was another $50,000 cash.
That's good.
And yeah, they weren't going to do it if I hadn't told them to do that. So that was a big financial advice I gave to my parents. But man, financial stuff has always come easy to me because it just seems like simple math, like setting up the infrastructure that I have now has been relatively simple.
Oh yeah.
Like I wish I could get every person who's 21 to see what I've done and do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't get people to listen. You can't.
That's the hardest thing.
But you're on the right track. You know, with buying infrastructure, buying your first house in the right spot so that it's not a weight on you, so you're not constantly paying for it.
Yeah.
If you want later on, it can pay for itself.
Flexibility.
It's got your first house has to be an asset. It has to have rental potential. If your first house doesn't have rental potential,
my floors are killer now too because I did them.
There you go. So your first house has to have rental potential, or it has to have flip potential. It has to have an easy spot where you can add 500 square feet and sell it in 2 years for $50,000 more, or you're wasting your time.
If you do it right, yeah, it's a good place to park your money.
Yeah. Dude, it's the best place to park your money, in an asset.
I still wishing I could have bought like a condo in like a high rise in like Shaughnessy Tower or wherever, like in Vancouver, and it'd be like $400,000. Like, yeah, but then you own a condo, it's gonna explode in value. But then I was just thinking, like, what happens if there's randomly an earthquake or some freak event or somebody lights the thing on fire?
Yeah.
You don't own that land. You own like a place above it. You own a place in the sky.
Well, you'd have insurance, but
I'd
be careful with Vancouver just because it's not here, so you wouldn't be able to manage it as easily. And like you said, because of earthquakes, I do think that there's going to be an earthquake soon in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be the big one, Juan de Fuca. That's the Juan de Fuca plate, and there's the Juan de Fuca Trail too.
Oh yeah. There's that big fault line there. Like that big fault line has. Oh, that's the Juan de Fuca fault line?
Yeah.
Okay, see, yeah, so that's why I have him here, because I know about these fault lines, but I don't know what they're called. Yeah. That's why I'm glad to have Ryan's or Nigel's my technical guy, so that's why I have him here. So we're gonna just kind of start off my list here. While you look that up, so I've been doing yoga for quite a while. It's helped me a lot in my life. Like, some of the biggest issues I was having when I was younger was, like, that's the fault line, baby. I thought there was one more inland. Oh, there it is. It's inland right there, right where Vancouver is, right?
Yeah, that's the San. Oh, this is the San Andreas one. That's the one.
The San Andreas one. That's the one I meant.
That's
San
the one
Andreas
I think
Fault.
that rocked LA in like the 90s, I think.
Okay.
I think. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, dang it, I lost my train.
Oh,
Oh, that's all right. Been doing yoga for a while.
Yeah.
And it helped. It helped me out.
Into that.
It helped me out a lot with my competitiveness. I pushed. I've had a life where I found competitiveness gave me a lot of success, but it also hurt me. At a certain point, I've noticed that it also had negative effects. And
You always need to like measure yourself against something.
yes, and then what it can do is it can alienate your people that are close to you, like your friends or people that like that. And yoga helped me out a lot with that because I don't know exactly what it does, but it's a way that you can get out your competitive energy, where you take it out on yourself.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And,
yeah.
and,
self-defeating. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you're in there and you're competing against yourself, and you realize, and it almost humbles you by competing against yourself because you're in this hot room if you do hot yoga or whatever, and it shows you your limits. You can see your limits, and you don't need somebody else there. You don't need to humiliate somebody else in a competition fashion to humble yourself.
What you're touching on it is mindfulness. Again, like from what I was talking about before,
Exactly.
you need to be able to master yourself first.
Yes.
Like,
And
it's okay to have negative emotions, but
Yeah.
figure out how to deal with them
Yes.
constructively. You can't,
Yes.
looking away. Like sometimes you just need to face them. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people
You
like.
have
They
to face
these,
your fears.
These like psychedelic experiences. They have these, maybe it's unconscious to them. They have these traumas, that they're these weights that they're holding, and then sometimes you just need to look at it and
Yeah.
like show its
Yeah.
true face. Like, that's what mushrooms, like and all those things do. Like,
Mushrooms do,
they,
yeah.
they force you to
Yeah.
look at the things like, hey, this is troubling you. Just look at it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. Near the
and
end
then
of
and then it takes away its power.
Yeah, near the end of a mushroom trip, it makes you feel so weak and so vulnerable that it sometimes will expose certain things in your life, even if it's your job. Sometimes it'll make you sad because it'll show you that it's your job, or it'll show you that it's a person in your life that you think that you like, that's actually causing more stress in your life than not stress. And sometimes you need to remove that person, or you need to get rid of that job, or look at your life in a different way and realize that your time is more valuable, and you're more valuable than sacrificing your time to whatever that thing may be. And that's what mushroom shows you. It makes you weak. But so the thing is, for those people out there who don't want to do the psychedelics and don't want to do the drugs,
Mindfulness.
you have to
yoga,
realize,
and all
well,
those
mindfulness
things,
is the reward at the end.
But
So you don't want to talk about it
you
too
can
early,
practice
because you
it.
have
You
to
can practice
suffer.
it.
You can practice it, but you only learn it through suffering.
You have to be willing to see some ugliness about yourself.
You have to be willing to suffer.
Yeah. That's a way to put it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
And I found that in yoga. So what have you found? So and I ultimately think that is what's missing in a lot of people's lives, and what causes them to do a lot of misguided things like riot. So what do you think? So we were talking about solutions to the rioting and solutions to the social unrest right now. What do you do? Do you meditate and stuff like that? Do you do any of that kind of stuff?
I do. I wouldn't say that. Like I do like lots of introspection. I think. Like
Introspection.
I as much as I like being out and social, I need alone time. Like sometimes even an entire day or two, or maybe just 6 hours a day. I just need to be alone with my thoughts.
Yep.
And
Yeah. See that? So like you can find meditation in anything really, just in your daily life. Like maybe when you're cooking. Some people when they cook a long meal or things like that. Yeah, you can find meditation in your life anywhere. And I think if people saw it more as that, like breathing exercises, a lot of times people who have this is a big thing.
Man, the problem is time. If you're working your 40 hours a week, you come home, you eat. Like I that lifestyle, I worked it for a while. Like like.
When you're at work,
and you go gym and then supper and then it's 7-8:30. What do you do? You have 1 or 2 hours to decompress and wake up, do it all again.
Yeah.
Fuck that life. That's a bullshit life.
Exactly.
That's why I quit.
Yeah. It's tough because it's like you have to come back to what it is that like makes you happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like and you have to ask yourself what causes all these people to have literal brain problems that makes them do, because when somebody does something that's misguided, it's a brain problem. They're making a choice. So how can you fix their choices so that they don't make those misguided choices? I often think that the problem is simpler than people realize. Personal responsibility, but people won't take personal responsibility if they don't feel comfortable. And a lot of times it's like all you got to do is just breathing exercises.
Well, let me tell you a story like this. I'll save names and circumstances, but I have two friends. They're sisters. One's older, one's younger. They're about 2 years apart. One got a good job and is working like something at SaskTel, doing something front facing, but they make like $70K a year. They're married, have 2 kids, and they live a happy life, right? And I'm not sure what her husband does, construction thing. And then her younger sister got knocked up at 17 by some 35-year-old criminal, like career criminal, got her addicted to meth, and she had her kids taken away, because by social services. They had the exact same like upbringing, exact same household. Like it all comes down to the person. That's my anecdotal story though. One of them is doing the normal life, and they have the exact same circumstances.
Yeah.
Except 2 years younger, and she addicted to meth and had her kids taken away.
Yeah, she mixed with the wrong people, I guess. But I mean, but then you have to ask, why was she attracted to those people? Why did she mix with those people? And those were decisions that she made.
That's the thing. Like at the very end of the day, like you were plunging that needle into your arm.
So
you made that choice.
Even if somebody else is doing it for you, you're making the choice to be there.
That's it. But then there's the whole thing like hate the sin, not the sinner. But like you still like you
can't do that. There's a certain extent where you got to take this comes back to what we were talking about.
90% of people just need to be left the fuck alone, and just like from any government interference, like people just want to be alive and do their own thing. Like just don't want to be fucked around with.
Yeah, nobody likes to be told what to do.
Like when you walk by like a beehive, like they're really cool. Like they're they're good for pollinators, good for us. Like they make honey, they're good for them. You don't walk by and kick it. Like you leave them the fuck alone. Yeah, because they'll fuck you up if you don't. Like people just want to be left alone, and like you can admire it, but
well, that would be an argument maybe against social services, though.
See, the thing though is sometimes education. Like I said, like I something we had broken family. I had not the worst upbringing, but it was there obviously it was good and bad, but like some of those safety nets fucking saved me. Yeah. Like
we all need safety
nets. When I look at the army now, like I don't see like they're obviously painted in a bad way, especially in the world's increasingly leaning more left, it seems. But like what I see is like a system that takes confused men that don't know what to do, or don't want any direction, just mash them all together, figure out how to make things work, because there's like a rank structure here. You need to figure that out, and then you produce like capable people.
Is it forced? Is the army an example of forced meditation? Because like for men, it puts them into
you gotta go to some dark place to be able to do some of this shit. Like
it throws them into the competitive engine. Yeah. Here, okay, if you think you're a man, you want to be part of the army and the fighting team. Here's the engine, and it puts them in there, and it forces them to be humbled.
The one problem though is that it does create like a culture, like kind of toxic masculinity, like
in a way it does. The people at the top, the people who don't get beat enough, people who don't get humbled enough.
What's crazy though is like one thing that I've learned, like especially because like most of the like special forces guys, like when you see them, they're like anywhere between like I've seen some like 5'7", 5'8" guys, and they're just tiny, ripped. They could fucking run like a gazelle, and they're lift 200 pounds over their head, and they're 5'7", just jacked, and they're the most chill guys ever. You would never know they're special forces and have like killed 20 people, because they're just like they
found enlightenment. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like it's like calm. Like it's a weird thing to being able to be calm like when the shit's going on. That's kind of what the army teaches you. That's certain things stress me, but like certain things are just like that's stressful for you. Oh, sure, that sucks. Sure. Yeah. That's kind of what it teaches. It's military training for that.
I agree. Like the way that I would put it is that it's forced meditation, because meditation is what leads to you rising above that competitive urge.
I've literally done like push-ups in the rain on rocks. And I was like, this is fucking terrible. This is the worst thing. But
it shows you your limits.
My hands are fine now. Like tough me up. Like, hey, I can do that.
Yes.
I didn't know I could before, but now I can.
Yeah. But it also shows you that there's a limit to how many of those push-ups you can do on those rocks. Yeah. And that's where once you know your limits,
there's always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. And once you understand that there's room for improvement everywhere, that actually that alludes to a fallacy or a bias. What's the knowing fallacy is that once you know stuff, you think that everybody else must know it.
I know. I hate that. I have that problem. Yeah. I have that problem. Right?
Everybody does. Everybody does. You got to be conscious of it before you can beat it. So yeah, I guess that's the being present conversation, and I think what everybody could practice a little bit more in their life to try to not, when they're making the decision as to whether they want to go to a riot or not, just meditate, just realize how good your own life is, take a few deep breaths, eat some good food, and you might realize you don't want to go to a riot.
Well, I don't know if you saw, like, Black Lives Matter, they're getting a huge amount of donations right now, and they're politically affiliated. All those money are getting donated to, like, Dems or whoever. Like, I can't... Like whatever next job I get, if it's unionized, I found there's a clause that they can't make you pay union dues. Like it's not legal, but you just agree to it to get certain benefits. But you're still entitled to those benefits even if you don't pay the union those dues. So what I was going to do is you can donate it to a charity of your choice. So I was going to donate, instead of the $30 a month being taken off for union dues, I was just going to donate it to the SPCA.
Okay.
You can do that and still pay the same union dues.
Okay, but I hear you, but there's obvious like societal norms that I'm going to bring up here.
Okay.
So, what about your boss and your coworkers thinking that you're a dickhead?
Doesn't matter what they think of me as long as we can come
It
together.
does though, because they control whether or not you keep
I'll
your
finish my
job.
point. If we can come together on a project and kick ass on that project, then it doesn't. That's all that matters. Outcome is the be all and all. Yeah, like maybe we.
What if the people that now dislike you because you're taking money from their union make a job go back? Because I'll tell you about an experience that I have had at jobs. So I've actually had a lot of issues with coworkers not seeing eye to eye. So what if those coworkers that don't like you as much do things to make the project not go smooth?
Oh, then it'll reflect in the work, and it's they're.
What if they've been at the what if they've been at the
a lot
company?
of what ifs, but
no, these are I'm giving you an exact example. What if so then what if that employee has been at the company for 20 years, and their say matters more than you, even though that they've given you wrong information that screwed up a project? And they did it on purpose because they didn't like you.
Sometimes you just gotta prove them wrong. Crush them with your competence.
But then what if you
Kick
get
ass.
fired because of it?
At least you're fucking honest with yourself.
I guess so.
You know what I mean?
That's my point, though, is that when
sometimes
you're at a
it's okay to take
job,
a bow.
when you're at a
It's
job, you have to do what your friends and coworkers do, or you're going to be a pariah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, and you lose some options. Maybe you don't get in with the next promotion but if there's something fundamentally flawed with that too, because if you can't get in with them in the first place, why would you want to be? Why would you want to you can
some people might.
You can tailor your ways of thinking, to get ahead in your career and all kind of things, but like most people that are like that run into people, it's because they want to be a leader. No, that's the problem. Maybe you want to be a leader and you didn't want to be undermined by having some shit team, so you left instead of them.
Well,
they've been set in their ways for 20 years. Why would you want to try and fuck with that? They don't want to change. Maybe they don't know what they don't know, and that's an issue because it's like the fucking ivory tower thing where they've done things a certain way for so long they don't question it.
Yeah, I find that happens a lot in the work environment for people, and I know I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I find that happens a lot in the work environment where it's like it's not bullying, but it's a form of that where you have to conscribe to what everybody else is doing, the way that they're acting.
Well, there's conform. Like,
and if you don't conform, to
you're never gonna get anywhere if you don't
is.
learn how to like work as a team type thing. So there's definitely skill in that, but I don't know, like you can't die on every hill, but maybe just pick a few that are near and dear to you. Like don't compromise your own ethics or your own being who you are, but like lots of stuff's way more flexible.
But this is a big challenge. This is a big challenge that regular people face every day in their day-to-day jobs. Like people that aren't as lucky, that have to go to work every day and be around the same horrible people every day. They have to figure out how to deal with them. And if you have a person that's fucking your career up, what can you do? And that's the source of a lot of people's stress. And they need that job to support their kids, to support their wife, who maybe they're also fighting with, and who's like, you're just a loser, you're going to lose that job. And then they got to fight to keep that job, to convince their wife that they're not a loser. But at the job, they're convinced that they're a loser.
I didn't start engineering until I was 24. There's always a way to change your circumstances, always. And I came from no money and all these things. Like my dad retired. He was making $22 an hour when he retired. Like that's nothing. You can't. And he was a single dad in the '80s, which is unheard of. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Do you think there's baby change rooms in guys' bathrooms in the '80s? Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance. There's hardly any now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can always change your fucking circumstance. That's a bullshit excuse.
I
Not everybody's saying like.
I like that.
And we do need like, and that's where the safety net comes in, because some people maybe they just need, to not fall through the cracks. Like they need like a push in the right direction, or just. That's why I'm pro UBI, just because it gives people the chance to make mistakes and not ruin their entire fucking lives about it. Like how many people would start a business if you couldn't have like a limited liability company? Nobody would. Because if you took that business and failed, and you'd ruin it for your whole life, nobody would start businesses. Nobody would take on that risk.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to do that with ourselves, and that's what the social safety net is, and that's what UBI could do. I was basically living on UBI. My dad's pension came to me when he passed, so I'm making about $2,000 a month off that. And it's not much, but you can still live a decent lifestyle. Like, so I found like a roommate, and it was fine. We got along. It was $500 a month. I had $1,500 for other things to do all these things. I'm like, this is basically what UBI would do. And my life has improved immensely. My marks went from like 60s in engineering to like mid 80s and 90s and stuff. Yeah, but because I have this like little safety net. It's only $2,000. That's nothing. That's absurd.
But what if the government couldn't? Yeah, but
it's not sustainable.
The government couldn't sustain that.
So there's different ways of tweaking it. That the premise of UBI is that you defund, I guess, all the other services like like welfare and all these other safety nets, and just give the people the money and let them do with it what they will, because they know how to spend the money better. And instead of hiring people to show them how to spend money, or like just that's trial by fire. Like some people aren't going to work. Yeah, that's true, but they weren't going to do anything anyways. What were they doing before? Nothing. But it's going to give some people the opportunities to create new and amazing technologies that we maybe would have never seen before.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so
UBI
pro
is a
UBI.
tough
I'm
one.
so pro UBI.
Yeah.
So the problem is, how do we finance it? And that's and that's a challenge. If we knew how to do it already, we would have done it. That's what we're working on.
Yeah.
But Serbs like
I wish it would work.
Yeah, just having that like safety net, because I joined the army because how the fuck else was I going to pay bills? What other opportunities were afforded me in Regina, Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
You work for a private company, but they don't give a fuck about you. They just want to extort you for your labor, and that's it.
Exactly.
They'll pay you the least amount they can for the most amount of work they can get out of you.
Totally.
Fuck that. That's not a living. That's like an indentured service.
Yeah. But most people are living that life.
I know, and I'm saying, like, I lived that life, and I had to get. I got out. I joined
Most
the
people
military.
don't know how to.
Join the army. That's why I'd say, if you don't know what to do, join the army.
Yeah. Or buy assets, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, there's that too. Well, how do you buy assets if you don't have anything?
Don't have any money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think the globe's going to warm up and just create chaos anyway? Or do you think that, how serious do you think global warming is now? As it being a tertiary problem to the fact that we can't even control our
I'm glad
people?
it's front and center, because it needs attention, and we need top minds working on it. Do you think this is going to be really controversial? But some stuff's going to get worse, a lot worse. But the thing is, though, I think if all the ice melts, I think exactly. Yeah, I think if all the ice melts, and yeah, it's gonna be terrible. Like, lots of marine life's gonna die. Maybe there's mass extinction events. But the thing is, yeah, and it's gonna encroach on the water, like sea level rise and all that. I think if all the ice melts, I think it's only like a meter or two. To me, that's an engineering problem. Yes. That's an engineering problem, not
a government problem.
I know, like, government is too slow and too fucking stupid.
Yeah, we can't have them taking money from our taxing people to try to do government incentives.
Instead of I agree with the talks on like alcohol and all those things, but like in this instance, you're fucking with people's lives. You know what I mean? Like, instead of making their life more expensive, make the behavior you want, make that cheaper to do, and that's where we subsidize that. But then where do you get the money from that? But well, it's just the problem is people are too. They don't see far enough down the road. Like, was it Norway, or I think it's Norway? They have like their sovereign wealth fund. It has like $1 trillion in it. They have.
Did you know Norway has the highest average IQ?
Oh, probably, yeah. Like I say, like they have it's something about $300,000 for every single resident, but none of them. They're not just gonna cut them a fucking check or drop PST to zero like Alberta did. No, they invested it in a fucking sovereign wealth fund, and that thing's gonna keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. They're gonna easily be able to pay for UBI and pensions and all these services, because hey, and that's the.
But then you start creating country inequalities. Like nationalistic inequalities. Yeah.
Well, there's no. Why didn't Alberta do it? Because there's a political thing. I'm convinced that, like, what does Trudeau, and not just criticizing Trudeau. I dislike Trudeau as much as I dislike Andrew Scheer. But why? None of those people represent me. Why are they making decisions for me? Why don't we have a referendum every year and just be like, hey, what do you think about guns this year? No, we can just leave that. Why not just make most of the choices by the people? We're all educated. We live in this information age. We have all of humanity at our fingertips. Australia has forced voting. If you can get fined if you don't vote. Yeah, Australia doesn't fuck. They do a lot of things amazingly.
But they banned guns just like we're doing.
Yeah, but that was their government. Like, maybe it's a different culture there. Canada's like the 4th highest gun ownership rate, and we have like some.
They have a large rural. Australia has a large rural desert area where they do hunting, just like we do hunting. Yeah. So.
What was I?
Because they're just banned the guns. Because you have to realize, I hear. Hold on, because I hear you. Because I want to say this because this is one of my main talking points. Because you are actually, because you're critiquing, let's say, Trudeau. I take a stance where I don't critique the leader. So let's say Trump, because I'm not anti-Trump, but I'm not pro-Trump, because I just see Trump as the figurehead. He's the leader.
That was my
the
point.
role of
That's
the role of their position is to deflect insult, critique and insult, to make sure they don't die. So essentially, security services, and just to be a public speaker. That's what Trudeau is. So but what you're doing though is it seems like a straw man.
What I was saying is, why do we need that? If all the decisions are made by committee, why do we need like a front man?
We need a figurehead. Why does a sports team have a logo? They're the logo.
No, but like, why not? Like, the finance minister can tell us the financial stuff.
But they do, though. But they do, though. They do, though. They do.
So why do we even, if everything's decision by a 12-person committee or wherever, like, why do we even need a front man anyways?
He's the mascot. He needs to be there.
Yes, maybe if you. Maybe I'm just challenging the system.
This is
maybe
one of the big debates I've been
having. I think we don't need it.
So many debates about this. You think we don't need it?
I don't think.
But then that becomes socialism. Without a leader, that's socialism.
But my point,
there needs to be a democratic leader that, like, you have to realize that's just the person that the people voted to be the sign. Like Gerald Ford. Like, do you know that like Gerald Ford was a TV actor?
Well, then Ronald Reagan.
I know that. I understand that Trump was that too in reality TV, which is more popular in our day and age than it was in the 70s. But it's the same thing repeated, just like how COVID is a repeat of SARS, and SARS was a repeat of MERS.
Like, you need to trust your people. Like, the reason why I brought up Australia.
That's why I never critiqued the leader, because they're making a bigger sacrifice than you or I could ever make.
Oh, I wouldn't want my life to be ripped apart at every fucking shred. Yeah,
right. So why even attack him? Let's just focus on.
It's almost like a fallacy in itself, because we demand perfection from these people, but nobody's perfect, and then we criticize them when they fuck up. Well, of course they fuck up.
Precisely.
Like, the reason I just want to finish. The reason why I brought up the Australian model though is because they have the forced voting thing, and it doesn't work counterintuitive.
What?
They have forced voting, like I said.
Forced voting,
yeah. And everybody think, oh, well, that'll just get a bunch of dumb people voting. You'd think that, but that's just like a pessimistic view on life. What actually happens is I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but they just go and spend a day or two and educate themselves, or maybe just look at the fucking TLDR of each person's platform, and then educate themselves quick, and then vote.
You use a lot of acronyms.
Yeah. Well, that's Reddit. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean.
People actually vote, and that's
I do know what you mean.
The power to the people.
Yeah, but okay.
Of course,
so
I love it.
Let me connect this. So I hear everything you're saying. But then though, to play it into what I'm talking about, to do with what the actual role of the president or the prime minister is. So the more people that are voting, that's great. So, and I think that's good, because then they won't complain so much. If they're forced to vote, then they can't be like, I didn't vote for that guy. But it also plays into I feel like it's a fundamental misunderstanding of democracy to think that that guy actually does something. He is a tool in the entire system. In the same way that if you were like to look at a motor in a car and be like, hey, why isn't the crankshaft turning on my air conditioning? You know, it's like you can't look to Trudeau for certain things. He is the mascot. Trump is the mascot.
I guess I never thought of that.
So I know you haven't thought of it that way. I hadn't either, because I've had so many debates about this shit already. Where the point is because there's all these people that are out there critiquing the president, trying to make him out to be the finance minister where he necessarily isn't. And he isn't even making those decisions. The finance minister is. His job is to protect the finance minister from having people showing up at his front door throwing rocks. You know what I'm saying? That's actually, in my opinion, if we're going to just sit here and try to figure out what the actual role is of the prime minister, of the president, of Trump, of Trudeau, they're a mythical figure that can't be attacked.
I guess they're supposed to do negotiations for something like the grand stage.
Yeah, they're grandiose.
Get Security Council seat. Did you see that?
No.
It was like last week. Like, it was between us, Ireland, and one other country. Yeah, there was like a temporary seat on the UN Security Council or something like that. And Trudeau's been gunning for it since fucking going to politics.
Yeah.
And he didn't get it. I think it went to Ireland. I think. There's two seats in Ireland and maybe Norway or something. I was like, good, fuck him. Piece of shit. Obviously, just in it for his own motives.
Yeah.
But then we're critiquing him.
We're critiquing him, and you have to realize that
what you just said. Yeah.
The type of person that would even want to be the prime minister would obviously be a weird person. It would be somebody who was.
It'd be like model UN people.
Wouldn't you know it? Somebody who was the son of a previous prime minister.
It always blows my mind that it always seems to be like, I'm not saying like the 1% or like the rich Rothschilds family, I don't think, but I just find it interesting though. It's always political dynasties: Bush, Clinton, Trump, or Trudeau. Like, why is that a thing?
It's because they're doing, and I don't know why. I'm not.
They're playing on the grand stage with us.
Yeah,
like we're their tools, we're their pawns. Yeah. They get us like Trudeau fucking taking a knee when there's 20,000 people. Oh, but it's okay because there's no COVID really. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like. Yeah. Rules for thee, not for me. Like the hypocrisy is. Yeah.
But see, well, you can feel. I guess you can look at it in two different ways, because you can feel like you're their pawn, like what you said, but in a way though they're our pawn. because we're not at risk.
Well,
We sit here and nobody is coming after us. But if I was Trudeau,
people get too heated in politics. I think too. We need to step back. Well, life's so good. There's nothing else to really focus on.
Yeah,
and the media
life
just,
is so good.
What else does media do? They just
that alludes to what we were talking about before. With the low-hanging fruits already been taken care of, we need to focus on the multifaceted problems.
like even like Channel 7, like at Channel 7 Access. What do they do when there's nothing going on? It would be like Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly. Because this life is so boring. So we have to put something on.
Yeah.
People need something to consume.
Yeah. But do you see what I'm saying to do with the leaders though? And that's why
I do see your point. Yeah,
that's why I don't. That's why I don't
I agree
critique
with
them.
you. I agree with you.
But we're having such a mass problem. I know that everybody did the same thing with Bush. Everybody did the same thing with they attacked presidents.
What did you think of Obama?
He's fine. He was a good. He did.
I think he did a good job.
He did his job. He did his job.
I wasn't really involved in politics.
He was a good.
From what I saw,
he was a good public speaker. He kept everybody quiet. He was
articulate and like
he was articulate. He had it.
poised.
He had it easier than other people though. It's like if a
he
white.
inherited the biggest recession ever heard of. Like within
No,
3 months of
but that's
presidency.
not what I mean. It didn't matter because he was different. Okay, because it wasn't his job to fix that.
No, I know he inherited Bush's problem.
So he was just imagine if an Irish guy, which is primarily what is America made up of? Like they're just settlers there, so they're primarily Irish. United
probably
Kingdom,
European,
European people,
Polish, Ukrainian.
So imagine if a European person was to go to the Congo, where recently they had like a fight. So in their Congress, they literally had people throwing around chairs and shit.
I love it.
What if there was a Irish dude who was like, okay, guys, and he was to win their vote because they are a democracy. I'm glad this isn't on video. They're a democracy, and let's say an Irish guy was to get voted in as their president. Do you? Well, I know this is a flip on its head because I don't think that they would treat him in the same way that we treated Obama, but it just wouldn't work. First of all, he wouldn't win the vote. No. But if he did win the vote, people would be. He is a token. At that point, he's a token. Look at this white president. Yeah. And in the same way that I'm not saying that I am though. That's what Obama was. That was why it was easier for him than Bush. And he was a good speaker. And he was a good speaker. But and the person that he ran against was a crazy Mormon. What's that guy's name that he ran against?
Who cares?
Mueller. What's that Mormon that he ran against? Do you know his name?
I honestly don't know. It goes to show who really matters.
Yeah. His name
written by the victors.
Yeah. His name will come to me.
No, but the thing with it's fine that you could say diversity hire if you want, but he had the accolades, man. He went to Harvard Law. Yeah. And he was a fucking badass.
But Obamacare. I mean, so all the things that he did, like doesn't that
show you? Bungled.
It shows you how that the initiatives that the president he does nothing.
From what I heard about Obamacare, it was if I wanted it, if I wrote it perfectly and it got exactly everything I wanted for Obamacare, it would have never passed the House. So I had to have it weakened. I had to put it in there with the hopes of like changing it later when more people are on our side. But that's the only way I could get Obamacare in.
And you're speaking from the perspective of
I think that's what he said about it.
Yes, but
the problem is insurance companies got hold of it and the companies don't.
No, the problem is this. The problem is that any given president is only there for 4 to 8 years, and when he's president, he only has 50%, if he's lucky, of the support of the people. Mm-hmm. So he can't actually do anything. It's the shadow government. It's the people, all the smaller people, the ministers, the people who are the mayors and the what do they call them in states, the governors of their areas. Those are the people that's exactly why Trump is being shut down right now, because all the local governments have had enough, I think. Because this is what I think. Let me tell you another thing.
He's had enough
a little bit more about Trump. We know that he won by the electoral vote, because his voters were more spread, even though Hillary had more numerous votes.
Well, same thing with Scheer. Scheer had more votes, but he didn't win former government.
Yeah, and is that well? No, hold on, that doesn't make sense. I guess for my part of my attack, it's just that. But I do find that the first attack, nobody wants Trump in, and it's like they tried to take him out.
I fundamentally disagree.
They tried to take.
There's a huge demand for it.
That want him in. Yeah. Well, let me just say this. They tried to take him out. Let's say the Democrats, tried to take him out at the federal level with like conspiracy type things. Oh, you're colluding with Russia and all those types of things.
For 2 years they pushed that narrative.
Yeah, and then that kind of failed, and it's
it was
almost
fake.
like, and it was almost like it was fake. It was almost like then they leaned on the local governments, and they were like, "Hey guys, we failed up at our highfalutin level. Can you now just make up something that nobody can refute, like let's say a biological disease that nobody can see, and then enforce all these local laws."
My friend got it, by the way.
Yeah, but I bet he's alive.
Yeah.
And then enforce all these local laws that nobody can thoughtfully refute unless they're a virologist, because we don't have enough virologists.
Yeah.
So
we have the school of toxicology.
So is that not where we are? Like, I feel like that's where we are. I know I said a lot there.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
it seems like the next prong of attack on the Trump. I just wonder what will happen. Final thought. I just wonder what will happen after this election. January 1st, 2021.
I don't know.
January 1st, 2021. What is going to be the news's perspective on the flu? If Trump gets reelected, they'll be saying, "Oh, second coming of COVID." If Trump doesn't get reelected, they'll be saying,
I never thought. Yeah, they those stories are being written right now. I can tell you right now. They already have an agenda to push to keep you tuned so they can play election. Or no, I guess the election will be over. Yeah, media budgets will ramp down. Who knows what they'll push?
Yeah,
some equality of look how bad the world is.
So have you seen the George Floyd video?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I
saw bits and pieces of it. So you didn't watch the whole 8-minute video?
I saw a fucking shithead cop, which was white, kneeling on an unarmed person and killed him. I saw that. It's from the military. Like I said, like it's just bred into you. Like,
do you know
you're all green? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
There's no skin.
This is
all
my
green.
job.
You're all wearing the Queen's greens. You're all green skin. That's yeah. Like, I saw a shithead cop killing a guy. That's what I saw.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't
on a situation.
Media
level.
pushed rage.
Yeah.
Who pushed
do you know?
rage?
Do you know who Candace Owens is?
Oh, I think I saw her. Somebody sent me a video of her. She's black conservative,
she's a political activist. Yeah, black conservative, which is rare.
I think I saw her one of her points. Yeah. She's
okay.
Like,
have you heard the stat? Have you heard the stat that in 2019? So basically 2020, but they're just tallying the stats now. So in the most recent year, 2019, there was 19 men killed by police.
Okay.
And there was 8 African American men killed by police. So this is the stat that was being pushed by Candace Owens, that more men get killed by police, white men, than black men. So that was what she was saying. But then the George Floyd thing happens, and it was on a high quality video, and we all got to see a dude get strangled by the police. And then there's all the backstory and then they also talk about this. They talk about how the 19 white men who were killed by police, they weren't career criminals. They were just regular guys. I've seen videos of. There's one where it was a mentally handicapped autistic guy.
They're way too trigger happy.
Mentally handicapped autistic guy who got strangled in the same way by the knee while being restrained by 3 police. That's what they do. That's their protocol, to use minimum force to restrain a dude who will not stop fighting. Okay, so there's that. So the more white people have been killed. So there's that. There's videos of white dudes getting killed in the same way that George Floyd got killed in the same year, which shows that it was just a political chess piece. And then, there is what was the last part? So, I forget the last part. So what do we think about George Floyd, I guess, is the last part.
There's a lot to unpack, but like, I guess the way I see things is I don't see like a race war that's happening in the U.S. What's actually happening is it's rich versus poor. The rich are trying to hoard their power,
and the poor happen to be African American.
Unfortunately, because of past racism.
Yes, because of past racism.
They've been trapped into the lower rung of socioeconomic ladder. Instead, like, I know what it's like because I've fucking been there.
Yeah.
I was fucking there. I didn't realize my dad, when we'd have friends or family over, he would go to the garbage, get food, or get food containers from the garbage, put them back in the fridge, so it didn't look like we needed anything. Think about that. I didn't find out about that until after he died. That's fucked up.
But that's your dad doing the best he can. And many people say that the problem.
Everything is stacked so hard against you if you're poor.
But people say that the systemic problem with the African American comes from the family unit. That effort that your dad made.
People can't even define
that effort that your dad made to make his friends think that he wasn't poor. People say that African Americans don't make the same effort. That's why they grew up with no self-confidence.
I don't know if you can paint.
And then I was going to say, I wouldn't. But I'm just saying, I'm using it. I'm being devil's advocate.
Maybe it's just role models.
It's role models.
If you're, that's the thing. Like, the reason why it took me so long to get into engineering. Now I'm going to try to do medicine in my 30s. That's fucking crazy. But like, I say like there's like that, I can't remember that, it's like the hierarchy of needs, you know, like once you have like shelter and like security and all this, the top one is self-actualization. Like I didn't know.
And that's what employment is.
I didn't know what an engineer did. I just kind of like, I guess I'll just try. Like, had I known it was, I wouldn't.
You're not even thinking about. And this is the
you're
problem. This is the primary problem faced with the African American.
It's always been rich versus poor. It's never been about race. And it's just easy for media to take that race thing and outrage, and then while you're all outraged, protesting Black Lives Matter, you're not looking at how much fucking money just switched hands. $6 trillion bailout.
Yep. And this is the primary problem facing the African American is
fucking race.
Yeah.
Some people are shithead racists, but we all fucking love each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all, like, when you boil it down, we're all people, we all love each other. We all just want to do our own fucking thing. Like, it's fucking people showing you where to be outraged. And maybe it's just people looking for an outlet because they're unhappy with their lives because they've never taken ownership or leadership over their own lives. They're looking for something to be mad about because they're unhappy with themselves and where they're in their circumstances. Oh, I got to protest something. Got to be on a team. It's different type of tribalism.
Yeah, it's tribalism. Yeah, we're all ruled by tribalism for sure. The only thing that brings us above tribalism, I feel, is meditation.
Mindfulness. Yeah,
mindfulness and meditation. Absolutely. That's what creates the individual. That's what mindfulness and meditation is what creates leaders.
Mindfulness lets you see through the bullshit that you've kind of like built up around yourself and focus on what really matters.
Yeah.
What is going to make you happy? How do you get that? That's what that's the core of mindfulness is. That's what enlightenment is.
Yeah. So a little bit more about George Floyd would be, and this I remembered what I was going to say in comparison to the other crimes that I was comparing to his death was, and then you can also add the part that like, do you know that during his death he was on fentanyl?
So that I saw he also had COVID, so he was like it fucks with your respiratory system. So he probably had like weakened respiratory system.
So that's I mean, so he wouldn't. So what? So who can say if he would have been suffocated? Fuck, man.
It's not my place to comment. Like
it isn't either of our place to comment. But that's precisely why it's being used as a political tool because it's not anybody's place to comment.
You can't like look at somebody's rap sheet and use that to define them in this moment. That's such a bullshit thing. It's a little logical fallacy. I think it's like ad hominem where you're attacking the person instead of attacking what they're saying.
Yes.
Hey, that's a good point, but I don't want to concede this point.
It is an ad hominem, but you have to realize that ad hominem was what led to him being on the concrete. While he had just used a fake bill at a store, and then he got arrested, and he was dealing fentanyl to people in the area.
So from that, what I can gather is he has a substance abuse problem, which could be fixed by if you just defund the police and have more social workers or just social systems to help people that need help or want help. Some people won't want help. You can't save everybody.
Yeah, but you can't save him because he was a violent person.
Maybe he just needs counseling. Like, have you ever?
But how can you expect
a
counselor
ever in your life?
No,
it's like $150, $200 an hour.
Yeah, so how can he afford that?
I only went one time, and it was just because the city of Saskatoon had the city of Saskatoon said like, oh, like if you're with grievance counselors because your dad died while I was working there. Like I said, oh, I'd never go there before, but it was just nice just to talk to somebody, and they're fucking educated. Like they know like.
But then what if? But listen to this.
They can call you on your shit. And they can help.
But there's situations where like let's say in the let's assume this. Let's assume this. Because all we can do is assume this because he was killed by obviously the police, which are people who are meant to suppress violence. They're stop. Their primary goal is to stop violence. So we can only assume that if he was put in a room with a social worker, that what the problem would have been was that when they raise his issues, when they start to talk about, hey, why are you drug dealing to support your children? Why are you causing grief with your wife by continuing this lifestyle? He would get violent and cause problems with the therapy worker. This would have been the crux of the problem that you're describing with the solution that you're proposing. So what can we do about that with violent folks?
So, like,
there's no solution.
There's no. People are just being too rigid. There's always a solution to everything. Maybe like maybe he just needs counseling. Maybe he just needs counseling with a friend.
I love to hear that optimism.
Maybe
by the way, folks.
With a friend.
That's precisely why Nigel's here. By the way, is because of that optimism right there.
There has to be somebody somewhere he'll listen to. Maybe he gets his from the meter. Maybe he has a friend, or maybe a counselor. Maybe
so there
a
needs
third
to
party.
be so in that social system, whatever.
How did that guy get to be so alone that he can't talk to anybody?
There could have been. Let's say
why can't he talk to anybody? Let's
say the hiring agent. Let me paint a specific scenario. The hiring agent for the social workers where he's from, if they had been more inclined, and let's say they had hired a person similar to him, a post-convict out of jail, black guy, male or female, who could have met with him and understood his explosive personality. So then what is it? It's a hiring issue at the social services level.
Well,
or...
it's a funding issue.
God damn it! I gotta piss again.
Yeah.
God damn it, dude. Let me out. Go on a riff.
We're funding the wrong thing.
Go on a riff. I gotta piss. And we're gonna see if we can keep this going. If we have to stop it here, we have to stop it here.
I think I gotta go, honestly.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I still have to drive for you.
Okay, you can stop. Thanks for listening, and any questions or concerns for the show, as well as voice recordings and voice messages that you'd like us to listen to, or advertisement inquiries, please forward those along to CanadianTalkWithStephan@gmail.com. Thanks. We also have a website, stephanjackson.ca, where you can find a back catalog of all our episodes, and we're also on YouTube, where you can find the video versions.
Canadian Talk.